Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of comicbook.com. I'm your host, Kofi Outlaw. With me today is the crew. We have Janelle Wheeler. Back with us again is Mr. Evan Valentine. And of course, new Papa himself, young Double Zaddy, Matt Aguilar is in the building. Double Z. Hey.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, you want to take a minute to shine a spotlight on your little man? This is a milestone moment in this 7-year journey. So, why don't you, applause is due, but why don't you gush and be a proud papa and do all that stuff?
You know, it's crazy that we had Ember,
and remember, he might hear this later, and he's a boy. He might come for you later. So
yeah, we had Ember and Grayson during the duration of the show. That's nuts. That's kind of nuts now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it's look, it's a wonderful time. He is adorable, and little Grayson Arthur Clark. So he's adorable. He has what I'm calling, and if you listen to this later, I'm sorry I'm putting you on blast, buddy. But I'm calling him, I have a couple of names for him, right? We watched our first Marvel movie together in the hospital because it was on the thing, and we watched, of all the movies, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh, geez.
That's what was on. That's what was on. Okay. But
I respect. You know what? Don't let them give you hate. I respect that. My midnight feedings with my kids both involved RoboCop, and I was like, I'm going to teach you about a man named Murphy and how it really gets out here.
It was so dark. Yeah. It was so dark. But throughout all of it, I feel like how can you not form a connection to Rocket Raccoon? So he's become my little Rocket, right? Like he's when we watched our first movie together, we watched a Guardians movie. He's already got his, Superman and Crypto and a giraffe. We already got stuffies and stuff, right? But he's also like my little curmudgeon, because he has like resting curmudgeon face, like that's his little face, his little cute cheeks or whatever. I always feel like he's unhappy with me. It's like I'm changing. He's just like quietly judging me. He gives me a lot of side eye, and I'm just saying this is probably a preview of things to come. But
buddy,
yeah, you give me a lot of side eye.
You've been in a girl house, now you're in a mixed house. It gets really different. Like it gets real different. Yeah, like
we've already been the whole thing of, hey, when are you gonna get you can't control certain things, right? And you can't get the diaper on quick enough, and that has already happened multiple times. We have already changed several outfits on a regular occasion, so that is not something we had to deal with Ember. But now we got to deal with it with Grayson. But Anissa, my wife, is amazing, and she's doing great. She handled everything like a champ, and we are blessed, and he is healthy, and so we're good. It's good times.
All right, that's the real life family things. Congratulations again to Matt. We are so happy. Shout out to his wife Anissa for doing the actual work and cooking up that little future Titan. And yeah, shout out to the whole family, and shout out to Ember. My personal friend. Don't let him run you. You the big sister. Never forget who's in charge. All right.
Yep, it's true.
That's it for real life. Let's get into the world of geekdom. So this week, guys, I'm going to be honest. I had a busy week on the family side, so I didn't even remember that Nobody 2 was coming out, and it actually turned out to be like the one screening we had here in Nashville in months. So I didn't even look. So I didn't even see it. So I'm not that like big of a Nobody fan. Like I'm not that huge into it.
Okay.
I love Bob Odenkirk. I'm not. That's no hate. That's no shade. But we'll get to it. But we're not doing that this week. Like this week we're not. I mean, yes, Nobody 2 was out in theaters, but if we're still talking, I mean, there's still a lot of weapons hangover. People are still kind of unpacking that movie. I was really kind of in a daze, but as I've gone on and like kind of really looked at the movie and done edited people's features on it, we rewrote the movie in order, did all this stuff. Like I'm like, yeah, this was a good one. Like that was Zach Kreger was really on something there. So it's just been a great year for horror. People were just running back like what we've watched in horror this year, and even what we consider the lower end of things, something like Final Destination Bloodlines, was still like stupid fun. One of the most fun dates I've had in a long time was watching Final Destination Bloodlines. So yeah, really great year in horror. So
Jay Jones. That's a great comment. It's about another time for an F1 review.
You know what? It's time to re-review F1. Yeah, I mean, but look at what that movie did. I just wrote an article. A lot of you all are sleeping, but Warner Brothers just hit a first ever movie industry milestone for 6 movies opening over $40 million.
That's huge
this year.
Yep.
6.
And they need it.
You go do your
That's good.
research.
Yeah.
But
Much
F1
needed
was one of
win.
them because they tied in with Apple for F1. And it's, I mean, much needed wins, and it's spread across everything. So original IPs, Sinners, right? Like you got things like that. What was the other original one? Oh, I'm sleeping on my own article. Weapons, yes, Sinners and Weapons, 2 original IPs, 2 multiple IPs, Weapons, Sinners, Final Destination, Bloodlines, all horror IPs. Horror's opening crazy big, like mainstream blockbuster movies now. You get things for the theatrical experience. Sinners, 70 millimeter, IMAX, that whole rollout. F1, that whole rollout. Superman, that whole thing. So they're also doing premium formats, things to get people in theaters for theatrical experiences and killing it when they're delivering. So, yeah, man, you guys are kind of sleeping. WB's been quiet. We make fun of Zaslav a lot, but WB's quietly, they're quietly cooking. You know, other studios may need to keep an eye on that. But today ain't about that. We got other things. Oh, wait a minute. Is this? But as if somebody was paying attention, our old gang at the new Skydance Paramount has something in the works, and they are going to be. Oh, I didn't even. Of course, the one story I didn't link in here was mine. We are going to be getting a sequel to World War Z. For my money, one of the more underrated horror movies of the 2010s. And one of the most fun stories, because if you don't know like the story behind World War Z, it's pretty hilarious. Just like how crazy that whole production was. That movie, you want to talk about movies that like nearly fell apart? That whole end sequence, if you don't know the lore behind this, that whole end sequence of that where they do the whole thing in the lab, where Brad Pitt has to like take the injection and get the cure. Yeah, they had to throw that together because they ran out of budget. They had a whole ending planned that was he goes to the Nova Scotia base to save his wife and kids, and there's an actual war with zombies like at that base, and he has to kind of get them out in the midst of that. But they ran out of budget, and so they just had to do this like kind of more low-key ending. But yeah. It's crazy. You should read about it. But they still pulled it off and made this like hit movie out of the most unlikely of circumstances. So, yeah. Now, 12 years later, we are going to get a sequel to World War Z. And so, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting because I think, like we're saying, people are beginning to look at this again and be like, wait, horror. Yeah, maybe we need to do some more of this. And they're starting to tap into these IPs. But as for what this will be, do we know anything? I don't know.
I mean, there's no way, like Pitt comes back. It's been so long since I've seen the original, which I enjoyed quite a bit, actually. I just don't remember the ending, like if he dies or not. I don't think he does, right?
No, he survived thanks to the power of Pepsi.
No, I need
the
to go
final tie-in. I will interject and be a pretentious nerd when it comes to World War Z, simply because I love the Max Brooks original book so much. And ironically, it has kind of a similar structure to Weapons. So like when they announced a sequel, I'm kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that it's kind of going to be a little more like the books or the original book, because like the way that they present those scenes and everything works so well. And in a way, I was kind of a little disappointed with the movie in that sense, but I'm more than willing to like see them take another crack at it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the book is very different. I was in grad school and we had Max Brooks come to the New School in New York and talk about it. And like, that was great. Yeah, no, that was he was really funny. Before he even, blew up and was like a TV star. But it is an interesting book. And I think there are ways to do takes on this world that are going to be very good for now. I mean, so much has happened since we've seen this movie. And there's, of course, a lot about it that, would be triggering in a different way, like post-pandemic, all of this stuff. So, and of course, not to mention the international whole angles of it. So yeah, this will be interesting to see and what they do with it. But good for you, Paramount, for trying to dust off what you have and, push it back out there. But yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Brad Pitt or anybody else touches this, because if it's not like Plan B or any of those entities, I'm kind of
Of the 3 franchises, they were like, hey, we're definitely doing stuff with Star Trek, and we're definitely doing stuff with Top Gun. And then World War Z, I will say this was the one that surprised me because I was like, oh, okay. I didn't see that one coming out of retirement, but it, like you said, it makes sense to somehow I feel like the attention also zombie related things get, while I feel like there is a certain section of the fandom that is kind of tired of that. They still are evidently immensely popular. I don't feel like that ever goes completely away. And so if you nail the right thing, because that's what we were saying at the time when this was released, it felt like it hit at a spot where it was like, oh, we've seen so many zombie things, which also made the different zombies in this at the time. That was really big. The fact that they were rushing, they could climb. We were so used to like shambling zombies that could, do stairs. And now I feel like we've seen this though multiple times over since then. We've seen so many different versions of zombies that like, I'm curious to see if this still can.
Yeah. Well, it's always about timing. Like we've done this thing in fandom where we've started to be the snake that eats its own tail. Like we have zombies for like zombie's sake, but like Ramiro and them zombies are a metaphor. Like, and so they're supposed to be applied at certain times in societal trends. Like when we're in a deep recession, we're supposed to be doing vampires. Like when we have certain kind of cultishness or mass groupthink things going on, possibly not in the right way, that's zombie time. Like, so it's all about timing in the metaphor. Just doing zombies for zombie's sake is like, it's empty. It's just one of those Russian dolls with nothing in the middle, right? So it's just kind of like, if they nail, and World War Z, if you don't get it, is kind of like Max Brooks is half playing an actual doomsday scenario training and half playing in satire. So like, it's kind of also reflecting a lot of like the absurdity of how we function and think in the real world through like these extreme scenarios. So it's a complicated thing to try to get on screen, but you can do it right. I mean, Zombieland does it right? Mm-hmm. So we can do it. Not Zombieland 2 so much, but like the original Zombieland. Yeah. So there's ways to do this. And especially if he gets involved, he's had a lot more Hollywood training. Like he knows a lot more. It'd be interesting to see if he's involved in kind of helping maybe steer this in a different direction. But that's well, we're not going to get too deep on this because we don't know anything, and we're not going to do free promotion for Paramount. All right, or Skydance or whatever you did. You did it, Karen. Whatever the new company's called, Karen. All right, let's keep moving on. Now we got some stuff. We're going to talk about a couple things on the DC and Marvel side before we jump into Alien Earth today.
Yay! How fun is it that we keep talking about DC stuff? Like this is a good time to be doing a nerd podcast.
The best time.
I love it. So James Gunn reveals that the DCU's next Superman Saga project is coming along. He indicated on a red carpet for Peacemaker Season 2 that he actually has already kind of fleshed out the next Superman run, I guess, the next project. He hasn't fully written the script, but he's fleshed out the idea of what he wants this to.
Yeah, the treatment, I think, is what he specifically said.
Thank you. It's like you're an expert or something, Kofi.
No, don't put that on me.
I love it. And I think that's really, really great to hear. He seems incredibly optimistic always anyway. And it seems like he's eager to get this going. Obviously, we reported last week that he was already talking about, the Superman family saga is being, I guess, worked up and that's next on the long list of things he's doing. So I love this. I think that everyone wants more Superman after such a successful first release. And I'm personally really excited and happy about this. He did say that this isn't going to be like a direct sequel. So it's going to be something different, and we'll probably see I hope to see a lot of return characters from the film, because there are a few that I was obsessed with that I think should have their own projects, but that's just me. Yeah, and this is exciting. I feel like I love that we keep getting information. They're not withholding anything. He's so transparent. He tweets. He's active with the fans.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, hold up. Yeah, let's stop short. I don't know about any of that. Like, we're gonna stop the glazing.
You know, I'm a fan.
Yes,
you know, I'm a fan of James Gunn, so I'm biased.
We don't know that James Gunn's transparent. We're not putting that out there. Like, yeah, we don't know any of that. But I am excited. Yes, and I want to stop and put a pin and talk about like where we are, like right now. What are we? It's this whole like because we live in, we're in a post-truth era, so you can never find any kind of consensus. So like half the world is saying Superman failed because it's coming out on digital. Other people saying it's a smashing success, because of the numbers and larger other factors, the branding, all that stuff, right? Then and then some weird middle third is trying to sink both Corin Sweat and Rachel Brosnahan right here, trying to post videos of them behind the scenes and trying to add her husband and break up her marriage and doing all kinds of weird stuff like that. So y'all are weird, some of you, like really weird, but do you go do you. But it's important to kind of just take stock of where we're actually at with this, right? Because Superman was a big talking point, but like everything today, we don't have the collective attention span to stay on anything for any length of time. So the whole, Superman, Fantastic Four, all of this has gotten muddled and forgotten instantly. But we were all about it in the start of July. But yeah, so Superman's made nearly 600 million worldwide. 585. Yeah. So not the billion or something that everybody would think that it made. It didn't necessarily run internationally in kind of international markets like we would have hoped in some cases, but not a bad start. Comparatively, let's see. Okay, so comparatively, where I see us here is where I saw us back 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Batman Begins was released in the summer of 2005. 150 million budget, made 375.4 million in its run. Okay. Many people didn't, and beyond that, because it was Nolan who was still kind of building his fan base, unless you went to see Memento or Insomnia or something like those more indie things, you didn't know who this dude was. You didn't know who Christian Bale was. And the fact that Batman was back after Batman and Robin had kind of soured things so badly didn't hit with people. The commercials had Nickelback, like, trying to market that movie.
Look at this photograph.
Yeah. People didn't come out and do this. It wasn't until the movie was out and people been like, yo, this was a crazy ass Batman movie. I just went nonchalantly on like a Saturday. I wasn't lined up to see this. I knew who Nolan was. I loved Memento. I was more curious about what Nolan was doing with a Batman movie. I was like, this is going to be crazy. Yeah. And so going to see, and then when I saw it, I was like, oh man, this is nuts. Like, this is something different. And when it got on home video, it was the DVD. We were all kind of slinging the DVD in the streets where people were like, yo, this Batman movie is nuts. Like, and it built from there. And then when it was The Dark Knight, by that time, whole different ball game. And Batman Begins didn't have like child family friendly merch or any of that. And like I said, the branding impression from it wasn't the strongest. People didn't necessarily love the non-linear kind of cut up Nolan film. We all know about the criticisms of the suit, of Bale's Batman voice.
Batman.
Be afraid of me. You know, all that, the whole thing, like, it wasn't a smash hit. So, but look what it became. And then by the end, what is it now when we look back at the Dark Knight trilogy? Like, and people argue constantly, in between that and Dark Knight Rises. Right? Like,
yeah.
You know, what's that?
It's the most storied Batman franchise at this point.
Exactly. So it's important to just kind of take stock of where we're at. What did Superman do? Okay. Yeah, it didn't necessarily bring in like $1 billion and get every adult on the planet up to go see it. it did make an impact, a significant cultural impact for turning comic book movies back towards youth and family friendly entertainment, somewhere we really have not been in how long? A decade?
2, right? Because
Yeah,
like you
like
said, Nolan's weren't
Marvel,
either. Yeah.
right. So we're turning now back towards that kind of thing. Buddy, don't even start on the brand, the merch, all of that. That was a insane rollout. That was a second only to the Clips rollout this year, like the Superman rollout. And they did it so prolifically without it feeling like overkill, which is a masterstroke.
Yeah,
They
it is.
had stuff marketed everywhere. Sometimes halfway through a commercial, you'd be like, wait, this is Superman? And like, everywhere.
Yesterday,
Sports, like stream, like wherever you were, comic book fans, obviously, but like they marketed hell, kids, like everything.
yeah.
The toy
Yesterday, I
line.
wished I had a dog because I wanted to buy those milk bone Superman treats.
Yeah. And it's like they have now made Superman relevant to like my 7-year-old son and his generation again. So yeah, let's chill, because I think the Supergirl movie will be for more teens, young adults, things like that, the 20s. But that's still that 18 to 30 kind of demo you want to lock down. When we come back and we do a full-on super family thing, and we sell that as a super family movie to families, we'll see what we do then.
Mhm.
I think we're going to be in a much better position to really use the pun, take off and fly. All right,
And
so
I agree
think
with you
that-
wholeheartedly.
I think that like with Supergirl especially, like number one, people are going to be blown away by that if it sticks to the story of the comics, which is like everybody should read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
forget all that. It's Craig Gillespie
Mhm.
and doing like a badass kind of rock starish female centric story.
Yeah, yeah.
The man is master of that. Go watch I, Tonya and come back and like let's talk.
Tanya's so
You
good.
know,
I would also imagine that a lot of the marketing is going to revolve around whatever Jason Momoa's Lobo is going to look like, which I imagine is going to be amazing. And so like I'm super excited for that. But Kofi, you make a great point in terms of this is effectively Superman is the movie to introduce Superman and kind of establish this universe. And I think like Batman Begins is such a perfect example of that, because Batman Begins, kind of like you said, it was like a success. It brought in some money, but it also like it then led the way for Dark Knight, which then became this giant thing. And I think that like the word of mouth with Superman, and this is kind of like a discussion when it comes to Superman versus Fantastic Four, which is kind of like Superman was the amount of TikToks I saw that were like Superman related versus the amount I saw when it came to Fantastic Four, like it was night and day. So I think that it has been successful. It might not have made $1 billion because we're past that in terms of like movies that make $1 billion on the regular, but it did its job effectively, which is like what it needed to do. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
What's
he's
crazy?
gonna be a punk rocker. Yes, he will.
Mhm.
Batman Begins is
All
my
right.
favorite.
Somebody else
of Nolan's
talk. I
trilogy.
gotta. Oh no! it's not.
Really? Oh, that's
Roblox
that's super
kid.
interesting, man.
Every day I'm getting calls from Roblox kids now.
It's I know
Every day.
it's a weird like Roblox calls. Sorry, bro. No, it's my favorite of the three. I will watch. I've rewatched Batman Begins way more than I have rewatched, and no shade to the other two because they're great. I actually really like. Oh my god, I was about to say her name and then I'm blanking on her name. Oh my god, I
Katie
can't believe
Holmes.
That woman. No, oh no.
Oh.
Let's not go crazy. Let's not. And she was fine. She was fine. I like, but no. I think that movie though, as a whole, and like what Liam Neeson did in that movie, my word, I thought they did such a great job of like interpreting what his origin story would be in kind of the modern day, how the League and everything would be involved, overtaking Gotham, all their clashes towards the end, phenomenal. Like, and I I dug it. Like aside from Batman voice, it was I really enjoyed that movie. So like other two are great, but that one still ranks as high for me. And I was hoping for around 600 million for Soups, and looks like we're actually going to get there by the end of the run, maybe, right? So because like it's coming out in digital, but it still has like what? Doesn't it still have like a week or two in theaters? Yeah. So I'm hoping we get there. We pull a Stitch and we pull it out in the last couple weeks there, and we get over that number. So but yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. But I still think it's a win and a good start for DC Studios. I think, like some of the chat is saying, we've all got to come back from this $1 billion line, unless it's like a massive event film. Like we should just start walking that back. That's crazy stuff. We were all living in a time of really inflated numbers and nutsness, and bubble burst, and here we are back to reality. Just like a Google update, here we are back to new levels. All right. So that's an inside industry joke right there. That's for us. But okay. We don't usually do this, so I don't want to get too far off and get lost. But I thought it was kind of cool to hear some kind of buzz about what's going on in the MCU. 2 movies are shooting. Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday. So, of course, we've seen set photos and stuff, but we're also seeing some rumors kind of come out. Matt, why don't you take us through some of those, or which ones you're kind of either saying or you're excited if they were to pan out?
Here's the thing about these. Right now, they actually, so we'll touch on 2 rumors. Both are related to Doomsday, and obviously will have an impact on Secret Wars as well. But the first one actually makes the most sense in the fact that the prevailing rumor right now is that Captain America, when he went back in time and essentially made his life with Peggy back in Endgame, he's the one that started the ripple effect and basically caused the multiverse to break. And now we are dealing with all of that. We're going to be dealing with that a lot in Doomsday, obviously, and Doom is at the center of this, right? And so the rumor is that, well, to fix said problem, Doom is going to be going after Cap. And when I say Captain America, though, I mean Steve Rogers, aka Chris Evans, that version of Captain America. And he'll be kind of going after him as the, hey, you screwed this all up. And I don't know if they're going at it from an angle of like, if I take you out, then I fix those things. Like if he's kind of this central point to where, like, if you were to remove him from the equation, then he never broke it. And maybe that happens, or if it's just a kind of a more vengeful thing of like, hey, I gotta go fix that now, but I'm still gonna take you out because you caused all this. There's no kind of details on that, but essentially that is one of the big prevailing rumors. Because of Andrew Garfield, nobody trusts what any actor says anymore about appearing and not appearing in movies. that has essentially Seth Rollins the movie industry when it comes to superhero spoilers. No one will ever believe anyone is injured because of Seth Rollins. No one will ever believe anyone is not in a superhero movie because of Andrew Garfield. Chris,
pause for 1 second. Speaking back to the chat, no, we're not going to give you a spoiler warning. We don't know any of this is true. Somebody in the chat was saying it's kind of chastising us for not dropping spoiler warnings in. We don't have to give you a warning for potential spoilers. Just read your own sentence back. Do I have to warn you about potential futures? What do you think this is?
Well,
I'm not Doctor Strange, and this isn't the Sanctum Sanctorum. We are talking about the rumors that are flying around the internet and basically assessing whether this would be cool to us or not. This is all theoretical. We don't know anything.
Half of these probably won't be, most likely, because I remember us talking about a lot of these before Endgame and in Infinity War, and if you go back and listen to those, man, half of those were trash. None of that happened, right? So that is an interesting element there. It also makes sense how you could then tie in a Chris Evans return, without it having to be, it's a big showcase thing. Also, it would be RDJ versus Chris Evans, but in a completely different way. That could be interesting.
And I think, just to keep this focused on what we're here for, so the chat doesn't lose it, I think that would be cool because this is a dangling thread. This has been a mess since Endgame, and it would be funny for the Russo brothers to be like, fine, nerds, like we're just gonna We're finally gonna solve it. Yes, we broke the time stream. Now we're gonna literally just take that and be like, yes, we broke the time stream. Now we're gonna do a whole movie about fixing it. And it's just like, yeah. So that was, I mean, that would be kind of meta and funny. And you know, I like seeing Evans and RDJ on the screen. And there's other rumors that Doom will be kind of stealing Tony. That's been a long time rumor that Doom is like stealing Tony's face to kind of lure people in,
everybody,
and lure them in with a false sense. And at the end, we'll get this like real kind of face reveal of like the horribly scarred Doom and all that. But that's another thing. But I think this would be good to kind of tie up what Endgame actually did physically break. What about this other rumor?
It don't make sense because it don't make sense. The other one would factor into this because obviously right now there's an Avengers with a Z, and then obviously the other rumors have circulated about, well, okay, Sam's gonna be creating his own Avengers team. He is Captain America. He's gonna have his own team, right? Well, in one rumor, Doom is also going to have his own team of people, and it's probably going to be it's kind of this force. There's kind of several rumors regarding this, whether he has his own people kind of supporting him in his cause or just people he's drafted. There's also things about multiversal heroes, and so like the team that goes against him would be made up of a bunch of different versions of people from all over the place, which would obviously link to Endgame in a way, right? With that dramatic scene through the portals. That would be a cool kind of version of that for Doomsday, to have all these crazy character versions from other worlds step in, and they're the army that goes up against Doom, and I think should lose, paving the way for then us to get kind of another cool Infinity War Endgame setup there. But that's and whether Doom has his own versions of that, because if you're going to have heroes, it would be super cool to see either turned heroes from other universes or other villains, alternate versions of villains be in his corner. That would be super cool. So also at this point, there's one of the things that always rang true with Thanos, I feel like so many people loved him as a villain because he believed in what he was doing, right? Like he saw that as the only way to make this work. And while it was incredibly extreme and wrong, in his brain, it was rationalizing. He always believed in his cause. And if you do that, there's a kind of a thinking of doing the same with Doom, right? He believes he is saving the world. And in actually theory, the reason he goes out to do this, right, is to keep the world from breaking. So in reality, yes, he kind of is saving the world. But then, of course, he warps it because in the comics, he warps it with, oh, well, it's going to be my vision for everything. Yeah. And everyone knows that's crap.
Like, that's the great thing about Doom is Doom is the most wise and knowledgeable person until you hit his ego. And then it's like total insanity. And you're like, and he's like, yeah, this is how we fix the world. As long as everybody says Doom after everything. And you're like, okay.
You were so close.
So close.
There's this great comic. It's called Doom War. And it's basically features Dr. Doom versus Black Panther as the background. And that has one of my favorite Doom moments ever, where the Panther God looks into all of the potential futures for mankind. And the only one where mankind survives is where Doom controls everything, because he's just, as Kofi kind of said, like, he's amazing at what he does, but his ego is so overinflated and he hates Reed Richards so much that he just completely throws everything away. So like bringing that character to the screen will be like, that would be the best way to kind of do it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also complicated because when the world does break in Secret Wars, he does use technology, sorcery, and just like raw will to just pull everything together. That's why Doom's always such a compelling kind of Shakespearean character. Is just like, yeah, he has the skills. He's like Saruman, and he has the skills. He's wise. He's like powerful, but then he gets twisted up. But all right, so there's going to be multiple teams. We heard there's going to get crazy. I like that scenario. I do. I mean, it's because it's manageable, right? It's a way to cut up screen time Every team is on a mission. There's a Doom team hunting everybody, or some variant squad. It's easy matchups we can keep track of. Like, oh no, they ran into Hydra Cap or something like stupid, whatever it's going to be. Yeah, I'm with that, because then it's a good way to also let us know to keep kind of Doom at the center of this, where he doesn't have to do as much. So we get scenes of just seeing Doom like overarching plotting, maybe interacting with Reed Richards, like actual development of getting to know this villain and like what his mind is. And that's where you're going to let RDJ cook, right? Those are the scenes, like we want those, because we're not trying to see RDJ hop on anything. Although I do need to see this mofo on a dinosaur, on a Doom dinosaur at some point. Like, I need to see that. That's got to happen, because why not? I mean, James Gunn would. I'm just saying. All right, but that's it. Yeah, okay. On some Marvel stuff. Janelle, you have any strong opinions of this, or are you just trying to see this stuff?
I'm just so excited about everything. I'm just happy that we're getting more content.
All right.
It's almost too much content.
Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. All right, Evan, before we go to break, let's just do a quick PSA to the anime community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
y'all have been on one this week. Y'all have been on one this week.
PSA.
Poor Evan.
What a story to report on. So One Piece Season 2 recently released its first trailer as part of One Piece Day. It's an annual event where they talk about everything related to the Straw Hat Pirates, which brought back a lot of controversy in terms of the casting of Charithra Chandran, who will play Princess Vivi. And of course, this is another boring like controversy where it comes to, race swapping and, what Vivi should look like. And this is kind of one of those things wherein the people who bring up, this quote unquote controversy, and they don't recognize the fact that every decision that is made for the live action One Piece has to go through the original creator of the franchise, Ichiro Oda, who acts as executive producer. And of course, as we know, the most controversial race swapping casting was in 1997 Spawn, that dealt with making Terry Fitzgerald into a white guy in that movie. People are still talking about that to this day, but I digress. So following this casting and everything, the actor who's going to be playing the live action Wapol, who is a villain, who's actually an amazing villain in One Piece, who will be the villain of the Drum Island arc that will probably cap off the second season, had a very long tirade that he went, a justified tirade that he went on his Instagram, where he talked about the about the fact.
Yo, I heard it too. Yes, I looked up. You can run back to
footage. It's literally Wapol. Wapol. This villain has the ability to eat anything. I can't wait. To talk about this second season with Matt and everybody here.
This is not helping. This is not helping. The cause.
It's literally. I'm not making this up.
I'm very excited for the show, though.
This is legitimately like he is a black hole. Like he effectively.
Nope, not helping. Still not helping.
It's ridiculous. But this is if you saw the second season trailer for One Piece, I love how much enjoyment Kofi.
You've broken Kofi. You've broken him. He is completely broken. He's shattered.
When I start and we had somebody in the comments ask if they should get into One Piece. I hope you have a lot of time, because One Piece's anime is currently about to get into its 1200th episode. So I would say like watch the live action one, because it's kind of a condensed version of this. That's
why I love it. Yeah. I love the live action, and it got me into the series.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
but I don't have enough dedication.
The tint of it may be too dark for my TV. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all are all one.
That voice.
But again, like as kind of an example of this, Inaki Godoy is Luffy. He is a live action Monkey D. Luffy. He is that guy. He is that character come to life. And Ichiro Oda picked him just thinking, who is the best person to bring this character to life? I'm sure he did the same with the upcoming.
He already
movie.
came out and said it. He did both new actresses that they announced. And he's like, yo, shut up. I picked them because I know my character.
I picked them. So are you, as
Yeah.
a fan, going to go against the guy who made One Piece? I couldn't be
And
me.
we live in the insane time where the answer is yes. We know
Couldn't be
better
me. Couldn't
than
be
the
me.
creator of this thing.
of the
Yeah.
franchise.
My head canon knows better than the creator.
Are you gonna debate who he picked to play Wapol? Are you really? Is that where we are as a society? No.
I try not to argue with Wapol as much as possible.
We gotta like come up with a different.
Yeah, we gotta move on.
WP or something. Like we gotta shorten that.
Oh, that's Peter. Peter's tell him Zack Snyder picked them, and then they'll calm down. All right, here we go. Yes, we gotta start working our internet groups against each other. All right, divide and conquer. We're going to take a break, and then for the other half of the show, we are going to jump into Alien Earth, because now everybody has seen the first 2 eps, and I'm excited to talk about them. Hang tight. In space, no one can hear you scream. So, we brought the terror down to Earth. Alien Earth is now streaming. It's on FX and Hulu. I've seen the whole thing, but we're going to take this week by week. I'm going to play I know how to play dummy very well. So, we are going to do that. But in that sense, I want to go to you guys first in hear what y'all thought about the premiere, and let's start with our biggest horror fan, Janelle.
God. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say this much. You built the hype with this for me leading up to. I've obviously heard you talking about this for quite some time, and last week was a great little teaser, and it had me very, very interested in what I was getting myself into. I just loved the opening, like on the ship, because it seriously felt like the movie. Like it felt so reminiscent of like that era of when they made like the Alien film that I watched. It was just so cool to me. And then we're not spoiling, right? Are we spoiling?
Yeah, this is a deep dive. It's been out.
Oh my gosh. There's just a lot going on that I personally did not remember. Like, I don't know anything about the synthetics. Like, I don't know anything about like the story. I just remember the scary alien running around on the ship. Do you know what I'm saying? So this just gave me so much context, information on like these competing companies and what it's all about. I understand that fans of this know that, obviously they know all of this deep, I guess, like
you're making that up. That's not true.
Okay, then I'm just
the whole point that you're in with everybody else. Yeah, the whole point of this show.
I love it. Like I love the story. Yeah. I just love this.
Maybe we should contextualize things here.
Yes, I do, but I love it. I love it. I love this show. Although, like, I absolutely hate it too because I had nightmares last night. Like, I can't. I really am so glad that they didn't give me like 6 episodes to watch all at once because I definitely would have had a very hard time like diving into that and then escaping out of that world. The integration of like the children into this obviously like really struck a chord, and I just adore these characters. I can't believe that they accomplished so much in 2 episodes. Really, like, they defined the world, they made me fall in love with the characters. I'm having massive empathy, I'm scared, I want to know more about these competing companies, the synthetics, I keep calling them synthetics, sorry, cyborgs or whatever. It's They've done so much in 2 episodes. This is amazing to me. I heard that there were like screenings in theaters too, which is really cool.
Yeah, there were. But just for context, so this is a show by Noah Hawley, the creator of Fargo and Legion. And if you haven't seen the patterns in those shows, what he does is Hawley takes established IPs and properties and he looks at them and he says, you know, it's interesting that we've done this, but, you know, we could have gone further with like this idea that's embedded in here or that idea that's embedded in here. And why haven't we never, ever, like, you guys have never blown out this idea? So like what we're doing here is what he's done is Ridley Scott's original film is so good at being a horror short story, essentially. There's not a lot to it. Like, you don't get to know these crew members, their lives, their backstories, all this. It's all about just this group of people trapped in this environment with this thing they've never seen before that turns out to be this apex predator. But to do a short story, you have to make an entire novel's worth of backstory and then just kind of shave it down to understand the dialogue that people say to each other, the kind of stuff they're doing, and make sure that all has heavy contextualization. So Alien does this beautifully, and it's the real magic of that film. It's such a small focus thing, but if you listen and pay attention to the movie, from the computer systems like Mother and all of that they designed, to the fact that these are all essentially blue-collar workers in a future where everything is so wealth disparity is so great that they have to sacrifice their lives to go on these crazy ass space missions for years at a time, just to get payment so that they can just live and basically get out of these contracts. That's the whole thing of Alien always. There's always somebody who's contracted, locked into some ish they don't want to really be doing, but because mega corporations own all of Earth, they have to do all this. And then out there for all this corporate greed, they're sent out there to find these things, and they're always sent out there to either go to some place they shouldn't be or grab this sample they shouldn't be taking. It always goes wrong, and the company's like, oh, that didn't work out, but let's try again and send another wave of bodies at this to kind of get this thing so we can develop weapons and all this other stuff and make another $1 trillion. So it was always this story about this, right? And if that wasn't enough, Scott goes in and layers this other thing about, in the middle of this kind of war between humanity and this ultimate biological life form, standing on the sidelines is artificial intelligence watching this all happen. And, you know, the artificial intelligence, like humans, are kind of like wedged between being owned by this corporation and their own evolution of being like, wow, you organics are wild. Look at that one, tearing up that one, like, ooh, that's messy. But this one's kind of beautiful because it's like perfect. And so there's all this weird things circulating in an Alien movie. And none of the movies really they kind of re-echo those things, but they never really dug into them. Well, that's not Noah Hawley. Noah Hawley comes in as like, you know what's interesting about this? All the corporate stuff. What's happening on Earth? Like, what's happening on Earth that makes this wave of disaster and galactic expansion and Romulus mining colonies and aliens, living colonies that are doomed in these doomed planets? Like, what starts all this? And like, how does that, like, what the hell is everybody doing this? And then we begin to see a picture on Earth. And then he's like, you know what? We don't explore this. Synthetics are cool, but like, that's not the only form of machine life out there. And if we have synthetic technology, what else would we have at that point? And also, if you call this series Alien, yeah, the xenomorph's dope, but like in a universe full of nightmares, there's more than one kind of alien that a mega corporation would want to get. Like, if you have a whole bioweapons division, what else are you searching for out there? And that's what this show is playing with. So to your point, Janelle, like we're all in this together. This is all the parts of Alien that these movies don't really explore, kind of getting fleshed out and explored.
So awesome.
Yeah. Evan, what did you think? Because you're a horror aficionado.
Yeah, I love this. I think that it's worth stating that we are in a renaissance period for both Alien and Predator. We're back, baby. I think that, like, when it comes to both franchises, it's hard to think of a time when they were both this good. Especially like in the past couple of years, there have been some rough times. But one of the things that I loved so much about the series, number one, the production budget is insane. I think that this looks like an Alien movie. Like, in a lot of respects, like, I kind of thought this looked better than Romulus, and I thought Romulus looked really good. I think that
I thought it was nuts that the first episode is almost a perfect recreation of Alien, but the second episode is almost a perfect recreation of Aliens.
Yes. And I think that there's in talking a lot about, the xenomorphs in and of themselves are a scary concept, but capitalism is scarier. I think that, like, the different companies that have a part to play in this series work really well in terms of, because going into this, I thought, like, okay, this will focus a lot on Weyland-Yutani, which has been the big bad megacorp of the Alien franchise for some time, but introducing the idea of Prodigy and these kind of synth human hybrids works really well in and of itself. Plus, I really love the story of these kids.
I was going to say, we have an actual star in a center to this series.
Yeah.
Which is the stakes. I like that the stakes they're not human. So it's not like the same level of, are they going to get killed? It's what happens to these kids now who are thrown into this horrific world in ultra capitalist bio nightmares. Now that's a kind of now resonant metaphor for a lot of things, right?
Yeah, and the idea of that's such an interesting concept for this. The idea of sending in all these kids are like, what, 10 to 12 years old, and the idea of sending them in, and they're all super powered, so they all have they're slowly developing the ability to rely not just on, like, super speed, super strength, invulnerability stuff, they don't feel pain, but they're cracking into, like, the ability to hack into things simply by looking at them. Like looking at a computer system, they're able to do that. But they're still kids, and they still get scared. They haven't, in the first two episodes, they have yet to encounter the xenomorph itself, but they've come across, like, the face hugger eggs, and they're getting freaked out. So I'm really interested to see where they go with that plot line and everything, because there's some interesting, juicy concepts there.
And they do it slowly and surely in these first two episodes, but those are some of the things I started to pick up on too. Was like the most interesting. Timothy Oliphant's character is by far one of my favorite characters in this, and the way he plays this is so good because he's such a dynamic character. When you're so used to having him be like the smoldering kind of, very charismatic, strong guy, and in this, his kind of detached nature in this is so. But something's going on in his head, but you don't know kind of what, because he's a synth in the way he looks at things. But one of the most interesting interactions is when they're going in a thing and they see the thing hanging, and he's like, "You're not animals. Animals get scared. You're not animals anymore. Start walking." And then they're like, "Oh, yeah." And they're just like, because they're just having these synaptic program things from still being kids. And doesn't they have a conversation where Wendy's present and they're saying something about, like, and his whole thing is you're a machine, like he's very pro machine, and while the kids are kind of caught in the middle. But yeah, I like that there's already kind of, the stakes aren't just physical, do the aliens get out, it's like, what's going to happen to these kids emotionally as this all goes on. and just the whole. And I like that because they're kids, they did this funny trick where they skip past like where other shows would have drawn out the mystery of the whole Wendy and her brother and all that. But they just have that interaction where the other kid's just like, yeah, he's your brother. She's your sister. Ah, and he like runs off. Shout out to the cast, like from Kyle Chandler's daughter, Sydney, who is definitely a breakout star in this show, to just like the whole Lost Boys squad of these adult actors actually really selling the idea that they're still kids. I always forget their names, but the Indian and the black guy who are always just like total little 8-9-year-old boys, like in the way they interact. But yeah. And the guy who plays the cyborg, Morrow, also fantastic kind of thing. And somebody pointed out Boy Cavalier is that kid from that episode of Atlanta. And if you don't know the episode of Atlanta where Paperboy loses his phone and he has to try to get it back, he's the kid. Yeah, that guy, the kid's Samuel Birkin, is a great actor. So, but I agree with you. Like, I was surprised by how well they did the production values, because they do a good job of actually spending money on practical sets and effects and set pieces, but also measuring out how many of those you need and knowing when to throw like a blue screen up. Like if you go back and watch some of the scenes with like the search and rescue team outside working out or whatever, or like obviously all that's blue screen stuff, but obviously some of the xenomorph shots, you know, like when it's leaping through the air and stuff, that's more of like Alien 3. But I think what's genius is Howley immediately sets up like, we're going to use some of these old aesthetics, and they're not like just so that it becomes not just like TV budget, but it's like, it's a callback, right? Like in a thing where you see the xenomorph like back up through the door while Morrow's trying to thing, like that's an old animatronic like puppet they're just wheeling back, but that works because that's from the first Alien. Like you see that and you're like, oh, you know, you're Leonardo DiCaprio. So
yeah, Janelle brought up a great point when it came to the opening and everything, and how like I love the analog feel of this series. Like how the text is like when it's coming up on the computer screens, and they were really able to capture that. So kudos to the showrunner on this.
It's also smart because they've been gone for nearly 70 years. So their tech compared to the tech back on Earth, that was that good in this little things like that Howley does. He is so good where other showrunners are so bad, where it's like a 5-minute expository scene about here's what's happening on Earth. But in his show, it's just like the two workmen and the guy trying to sit down and teach the younger kid, like, okay, we're going back to Earth. It's like 30 seconds, but he's just like, here's the 3 things. And they're like, no, it's different now. There's the Prodigy and Boy Cavalier, remember? And he's like, whatever, man. But it's not just telling you expository things. It's showing you the dichotomy between where these people have been out in space, jobbing for generations of jobbing, which is so messed up. Like the guy says, like, my kid's older than me now or something because of cryo sleep. And then, like, what's been happening on Earth. So, yeah, their tech would be different. And it's the same with the Nostromo. You realize they've been out there for a while. So, like, yeah, things are different on Earth. But the ship would still be like that. And it's just that attention to detail is kind of like... Because, you know, us alien nerds, we start to do that. Matt, you've been real quiet up there.
I was muting myself. What? No, I was listening. I'm not the foremost.
I know, that's why I want to hear you.
I'm not foremost, but what I enjoy about the show is that I don't have to be. I'm a very, aliens, predators, surface level. I have the bare bones of both in my head as far as like what the concepts are. And we'll actually get to Predator in a little bit. There's a lot of Aliens and Predator going on right now, but I have really loved the Predator stuff that has been happening. And so, but that stuff is kind of a mix of where you are in the timeline and things. With this, I feel like I can really get a grasp on things, and I really enjoyed it. I also will say, like, credit to them for doing the first 2 episodes, because I feel like you needed that. I don't know if I would have been as sold on it if I had just seen the first one, because the first one's good, but it pairs so well with the second one, and you kind of get a fuller idea of what this series is actually going to be, that I felt like that was necessary for me. not for everyone, but for me, I needed both of those to kind of hook me in. But you know, this is not a show that like, because there's some brutal there's some brutal moments. There's some just creepy, and when I say creepy, I don't mean like jump scare creepy. I mean like, you know, that kind of body horror grossness to the alien stuff. It's not my thing. It never has been. I don't like, you know, like Resident Evil is about as far as I get in that space. Stop it. But if you build enough around it that it makes it compelling, then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in that world. That's what Resident Evil always did. You know, even Silent Hill to a degree, right? They deal with that stuff, but they pull you in with whatever narrative is moving you. This is really interesting. Just the various companies and the differences between them and how they approach things and what role they play on, or all that stuff is really interesting to me. I like that side of it. So then when you're blending it in with what's happening with the actual xenomorphs themselves and some of those things, it does enough of a little bit of everything that like it keeps people like me invested, and also feel like I learn a lot about the world. This is a very rich world, but not one that I really ever really had an understanding of coming into it. And that's what I think the Predator projects have done a really good job of lately, is like fleshing that out for people like me. And this is doing that on the alien side. So I really enjoyed it way more actually than I thought, because I still kind of feel like I go into alien stuff going like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. And I'm very pleasantly surprised. It's excellent. So I am sticking with it. I am excited for it. I think those first episodes did a great job.
All right. Oh man. Yeah. So, like I said, that's Alien Earth. We will be covering this week to week. As I said on Threads, I've seen them all. Strap in. I can tell you, I told you about Penguin, and I'm telling you about this. True. It's a fun ride. We will enjoy it. As I said in my full review, it's not without its own drawbacks sometimes. You know, it's a TV show, so you're going to get a couple episodes where things slow down. You know, we get more contemplative, but I think overall we're going to have some fun. So we'll be on it week to week. Join us here on the stream every Friday, where we will be breaking down episodes of Alien Earth. Now let's talk Predator. Predator is not having a slacking week. Alien might be getting a new TV show. Predator has a big movie still coming out this year. And on the comic book page, Matt, we had some fun with Predator this week. Or I don't know if Janelle found it fun, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, Predator versus the Marvel Universe. I gotta say,
kills the Marvel Universe. They're very clear about this in the title.
Yes. And I gotta say, Benjamin Percy was the perfect person to write this. I cannot think of a better fit than Benjamin Percy. Seeing what he has done in Wolverine and X-Force and all that, that man was born to write this book. And also, you know, killer artwork as well. But I mean, this is the premise is in the title. This is a Predator kills the Marvel Universe book, and in fact, the cover there's some spoilers on the cover too of people who don't make it. I will say we're going to go into full spoilers on this because I feel like you kind of need to. Even though it's established early, I'm just FYI.
Yeah, it's hard to get through the page 1 through 5 without having something to say here. Yeah,
because that's the twist that actually, like, I'm always curious. I mean, we've seen this with like Marvel Zombies. We've seen Deadpool versus the Marvel Universe and other things. And like, okay, you're used to a concept of you're going to see some of your favorite heroes brutally murdered in various different ways. That's something we have explored, crazy enough as it is as a sentence, in comics before. What sets this apart from, oh, we're just going to get more of that, but this is going to be Predators, is that in the first couple pages, you realize, oh, it's one of our own leading the charge. And of all the people, it's Kraven the Hunter. And I just thought, oh, that's freaking brilliant, number one. And then as they go in and establish the whys and the link backs to the Black Panther series, all of that starts to really connect. And I was like, that's brilliant. Oh, and you even get the link in with like Spidey and stuff. So I thought that twist is what really makes this feel different and feel like it actually kind of, obviously this is not continuity or anything, but this does feel like it matters. It has a tether point, right? And then you just get to do the fun, gnarly stuff of like people get maimed in this book. First 10 pages, you lose some beloved favorites in the Guardians, and then we get other people kind of essentially killed or teased to be killed as the book moves on, and we're going through some heavy hitters. So I am very curious to see how this series plays out. I would not, if you had asked me 6 months ago to peg this book and be like, oh, you're gonna get excited for that, I was like, meh, it is what it is. And then you read it and you go, okay, it's got me. And Percy was perfect.
Yeah, no, I was surprised how well this built everything. Like built, because was it ever explicitly, because we read them in a kind of fractured way, so was it ever explicitly laid out before, like that all these other books were kind of like deeply linked like this, or was it just kind of cursory? I don't remember.
They didn't make a big deal about like, oh, this is a connected universe or anything, but they have been like this one especially, like clearly makes it clear that like, hey, those books matter, those are canon.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I was saying when they started linking back, and like I said, I did loose reads. The Wolverine one really had me. Black Panther was kind of cursory. Spider-Man, I was like, this is all right, because I kind of popped in and out and I read like the final issue. But then how this pulls that all together as like this huge scheme, and then to take the end with the whole Kraven thing and bring that around and be like, oh no, this was all one big story. That's like, Percy does that so well, and it's just like, and everything mattered. Like all those little things that happened in those other books mattered, like learning about adamantium, vibranium, like them upgrading, like all of this stuff is great. And he just understands characters and franchises so well. Like he doesn't just take like, and I'm going to go major spoilers here, because if we haven't written an article about this, I'm going to today. He takes like the MCU, very much the MCU version of the Guardians, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gives you that for like a page, and then he just horribly murders all of them, and you're like, whoa, like, you know, that's the most, like, it's so traumatic. But like, even though like he's doing horrific things, like he cuts off Reed Richards' arm, and you have Reed Richards still like scientifically analyzing like, how did I get my arm cut off, and him putting together all these little dots and connections of what Percy's done, you know, for the weaponry, to be like, no, to cut through me, you got to be like, it is like all these little dots and little bits of lore coming together. I was like, man, that's how you do a first issue. Janelle, we like to traumatize you a little bit at a time each week. So how did you feel about this one?
Dude, this is so shocking and so good. It's so fun. Like, obviously it's terrible because it's like blood and death and gore, but like hit me out of nowhere. Like, I just reading the title, I was like, okay, clearly like they're gonna do something where like everybody dies. I was thinking like some weird magic spell, or I don't know, just something that like kills them in mass, like all at one time. No, this is like individually picking off each character in gory fashion and fully showing the blood splattering.
You know what? That's what's so sick about this. Like, yo, Percy's kind of sick, man, because like half of this book is dialogue of like a creator analyzing these characters, like Batman style, like Tower of Babel style, and being like, here's why you got to kill the Fantastic Four
and
this
way.
Is
how you do.
They like, love each other, like really love each other. So take one of them, slaughter them, and then watch the whole thing spiral. And it's like, dude, you sat down and like really did chart this all out. Like, it's awesome, but you're kind of sick.
Yeah, we have to keep up with this one. This is a heck of a first issue. Like, honestly, just like the first few pages, it's just wild. Like, I don't think I've felt this, like, I don't know, I guess worked up over a comic in a very long time.
Yeah.
It's very well done. Yes.
It's excellent. We will definitely look. This was totally Kofi's recommendation. And I'm so glad he put
Yay, Kofi!
Because that was all Kofi, and this was great. I'm so glad. I read this, and I'm glad. Like, we will be keeping up with this because I got to know what happens. Like, now it's like a thing of like, okay, I got to see how this figures out. And yes, to the comments, Rocket was, teased, but they never show him. So I'm hoping he's still around. And Thing, I love the analysis there of like, it's just best to remove him from the equation. Can't really kill
Poor
him.
Ben.
So they just shove him out
Ben.
Or
space,
Johnny.
Slaughter the thing he cares about most and just like throw him out in space to go like be a big space rock.
Yeah, he's gone. He's good.
I hope that comes back around because that's a Percy thing. I hope he like floats into some orbit, curls up, and becomes like a hurling comet and just crashes out on like the Predators. That'd be amazing.
I mean,
So
I thought
good.
that the characters dying was kind of very interesting to start because you could make an argument that the predecessors, for those who don't know, it was Predator versus Wolverine, Predator versus Black Panther, and then Predator versus Spider-Man. And each of those, you can make the argument that they were canon, because I didn't think that any major characters died in those series. So, going into this, I actually thought like Predator Kills the Marvel Universe was just like a facetious title that was just like, oh, it's going to be cool. But as a kid who grew up on a healthy diet of what if stories where every issue was, how's your favorite hero going to die horribly? I thought that this was kind of a nice like return to that. I would argue that the fact that maybe these characters died a little too easily. I don't know that like the Fantastic Four would get taken out like that, but like I thought that the way that Benjamin Percy, because like I also had to shout out his Ghost Rider run because I really loved his what he did with Ghost Rider. But this was a fantastic like premiere issue to kind of set everything up.
What you did there.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I thought that like the stakes are really high. I thought they did a really fantastic job with that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming in this.
Also, technically, Groot isn't dead either, really, because he just got chopped in half, but he's a tree. So
yeah,
as long as
he's come back from worse,
as Groot's technically good, and Gamora's maybe not dead, just armless. She's got one arm missing, and then but Drax is dead. Drax is very much dead.
Oh, for sure.
So is Human Torch. They're both gone. R.I.P. So yeah, that was comics. I'll move into my agenda then, and I'll move into another comic. And this one's a crossover because I've talked about them before on the show, but I adore Power Rangers crossovers in the comics because they just are so great. And if you haven't read them, you should check out the Justice League one that Tom Taylor did way back when. And you should check out the Power Rangers Godzilla one because that was stupid fun. That was really fun. And now we're back with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3. Well, actually, this is like essentially series 3, and this is issue 1 of series 3. These are also all connected, longer story here, but they're kind of self-contained in their own. But we are picking up where things were. So like this one kind of puts you right in the middle of what's happening, in the middle of kind of Lord Zed and Shredder have kind of teamed up in the vacuum there after Rita was taken down and things. And so the Rangers and the Turtles are working together, kind of this one team to protect the Earth. And this is also coming after, by the way, in the last series, the Turtles all became Rangers, which was dope. And the Rangers actually became dinosaurs, which was also dope. So this one's like, okay, you look at that and you go, how are you going to top that? That a lot of extreme things have happened. And what they do here, this is a very good first issue because it kind of catches you up on what's happening. You get some really great action sequences between like with Leonardo and Tommy teaming up, right? There's some really cool things here that's happening. But then something happens towards the end, and I won't spoil it here. But what happens towards the end, they really take someone very critical off the board. And so that will have a major effect on the rest of the series. And it's probably going to take a little bit of there's going to be a difference in tone as well, because of what happens there. So I think this was a very good first issue. I really enjoyed it. I just love seeing these characters interact. Ryan Parrott, the writer, is a huge fan of the 90s TMNT movie. That always kind of echoes through these characters. He's obviously written Power Rangers and he's so well versed in that lore as well. So it's always comes from someone who is super knowledgeable about both franchises and is a fan of both franchises. And that's what I love about his work. So that comes through. But then when that hits, what's going to come after is going to be very, I feel, different from the last two entries. And so we could get more of that, a little bit more of an emotional, vulnerable side to all these characters, and then also throwing all that epic stuff into the mix. So really could not recommend more. I love these books, and the third one is no different. And then I wanted to touch on I finished Wednesday season 2 part 1, and I was on episode 3, which, by the way, episode 3 I rewatched it, and it is I think episode 3 is my favorite episode of the season, just because I love the zaniness of the entire camp sequence that happens there. But episode 4 and Where We Go is like, talk about that was a great part 1 finale. It's not a season finale, but whatever his chapter is, that was a great kind of mid-season finale there. All the people that are on the board, some people that are off. There's a whole kind of face-off between Wednesday and, a key character from season 1, and like we set the table for that. I love all of the stuff with Wednesday's grandmother in this and how she's throwing a wrench into everything. Also, we got Fester, and I adore Fester. He's such a ridiculous character, and I just I'm blanking on his name from SNL, blanking on his name that plays him at the moment. But he is
Fred
phenomenal.
Armisen.
Fred Armisen, thank you. He is, I just find him delightful. There's so many scenes where he's just literally smiling. There's a whole scene about his numerous passports, and they're going through all the photos on the various IDs, and he's like a Spanish person, and he's like an Irish person, and he's got little mustache. Like this, I love the comedy in this show. It just hits me. And he's fantastic. And we get a lot of Fester in that season 2 part 1 closing thing. And then what you just saw, if you're watching the live show, is you saw the first look at chapter 2, which hits September 3rd. And that, I'm glad we only have to wait a little bit for that. But I thought, just as this is actually, I think, my favorite like dose of these shows. Like 4 episodes you hit, and I have I have enough 4 episodes, like, to me.
The batch. We're all about the batch.
But like 4 is a sweet spot. Like, it's a sweet spot because, like, there's enough to talk about and get me excited, and like I have enough to go back and rewatch things, but it's not like, 3 episodes probably too short, 2 episodes probably too short, 5 and 6, well, you might as well just do 8. Because then I just need the whole thing. Like there is a mix there, and I feel like 4 is great. I'm good. I got other stuff to watch. I can put it aside for a month and a half, and then I get right back into it. It's also too, you need to release them. I feel like a month and a half is the sweet spot to release part 1s and part 2s. I need them close together. It can't be a year. It can't be 6 months. Like, it's got to be enough time where I remember what happened. And I think this is the money thing right here. So I adore the show. I cannot wait I think this is going to be, we have already gotten renewed for season 3. And so I think this is going to be what helps me get over the loss of Stranger Things, because that is currently one of my favorite shows, period. So we're going to lose that after the end of this year, technically the beginning of the new year. But Wednesday is going to be that thing that sits in there for me. But that's me.
I mean, it's going to be weird when 11 is outgrown Vecna, It's going to look real strange.
I have rationalized it all in my brain.
Maybe Bobby Brown's like halfway to looking like a middle-aged English woman. Like, this is going to get crazy in this last season, but hey.
They can do this show till they're 45, and I will watch.
They are 45, bro. They are 45. You're lying. All right. So that's Matt's agenda, I believe, which brings us to the end of the show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. We are Comic Book Nation. We're the only show that does it all for geek culture, and the official podcast of comicbook.com, where you can go to find our work. Myself, Evan, and Matt always dropping articles and content on comicbook.com, where we talk with our typing fingers to you through the writing. Janelle, you can always catch on her streams. If you're not a creep, go hop up in there and show her some love. And by love, I do mean subs. I don't mean like a hello, man. Like we can do that all the time. We'll see you guys next week. It's been we've been out here for, I don't know how long we've been out here in this pocket universe for like 7 years. But we're still out here. So come and join us if you're a new fan, if you're a longtime fan. I wish we had a Patreon now that old Joe Budden and them get some money from that, but we'd have to pay the company, so there's no point. So none of that. But holler at any of us on socials. You can see us, our names on the screen, or look us up in the show notes. All right, guys. Everybody have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Anybody doing anything geek-tastic?
I'm playing this game called Date Everything, and it's very bizarre. I'm going to make my air fryer really hate me today.
Is it like the Tea on Her app? Is it that kind of fun?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm out of here. I'm not. I'm just going to. Shout out to the chat. We don't have a studio anymore, but brother, the studio was in a building that we are no longer allowed on the premises of. But shout out, because on my birthday this year, I was around the corner at a opening of a hot new spot in Nashville. Yeah, there's a whole off-Broadway Nashville now that's springing up right where our office was, which makes me want to beat my head against the wall. But, I was up in a nice new spot with my brother. We were in a nice, little hotel lobby lounge cafe that opened up. Shout out to Modern Love. It's a dope place. And, year over year, we're doing good. So salute to the studio. We're going to miss you, but we're out here and we are all doing well and thriving. Janelle's little man's here. He's thriving. Matt's got a little man now. Everybody's kitted up. Matt hit the double time. My kids are up, wiping themselves and strapping themselves in their own seatbelts and stuff. So I realized it blew my mind. I saw a picture from long ago. I was like, I don't have to strap anybody in. There's no car seats. I can roll up anywhere. There's no car seats in the back anymore. That whole era is over. It's been crazy out here. This is the most rambling outro we've ever done. Yo, just cut the feed, Peter. Get us out of here.
I got emotional.
Bye.
I know. Get us out. OD.